You're listening to the Electronic Media Collective Podcast Network. Yeah, it's a mouthful. For more great shows, visit electronicmediacollective.com.
And we're back. Welcome for your distraction podcast. I'm your host, Scott, and I'm joined, as always, by a man who is adamantly against the Electoral College.
I hate the Electoral
A
College.
man who has wanted term limits before it was cool, and someone who will respect women's bodily rights, whether they want him to or not, Mr. Adam Silvis. Adam, how we doing?
We're doing pretty good. I'm having my own personal crisis over on my end. It's a burden being me, Scott. Let me just tell you that it's a burden being me.
I can tell.
It's a burden. I got to do.
Yeah.
I got so many plates to juggle. I got so many plates. I got so many balls to balance.
He wears many hats, and we're both wearing hats tonight.
Tonight, I'm gonna ask the viewers for a favor. I'm gonna
Oh.
ask the viewers for a favor because we were trying to do something before we started the
Okay,
show.
yeah.
We were trying to do some, but we're fools. We are fools of fools where we try at the last.
Sure.
We're gonna do it live. We're gonna do it live. Damn it.
We're
We-
doing it
we-
live.
When we want to do something fun, sometimes we tend to do it the very last minute. We're like, oh shit, that's a thing. Let's try and do
Let's
it.
do that, yeah.
And then it just doesn't work out. So
We're late bloomers.
I created a poll
You did.
on Facebook Live
Mm-hmm.
during a live. There's a cheeky little thing on here. I'm gonna scroll down on our. You can't see. I'm gonna scroll down here. Right here it says create poll.
Create it.
So what I did was, and you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna create this poll now.
Okay.
Why the fuck can't we see it? Like, that's my question. Like, you and me are on our personal Facebooks on our page on the live stream. I created the poll before we actually officially went live, before the music started. Shit didn't show up. Can't find it anywhere. What are we doing wrong? I'm a tech guy and I can't figure this out. But
You're the
like,
tech
here's
guy.
the thing. Here's the problem though. I'm a tech guy, but like, this is more your department because you do TikTok and everything like that. So like, you understand that shit more than I do.
Meta's very different, though.
It's
Me- It is. It is. I mean, it is.
other side of the same coin, basically.
All right, you were typing, who will you be voting for, question mark. Option A, Kamala Harris. Option B, Donald Trump.
They're eating the dogs. All right, so
There it
so
is.
here's what I did. I created it. Now, the way it should work, I would assume, you
Save.
save,
Click save.
save.
Then create poll.
Oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't click this.
You didn't create.
I thought just saving it created the poll.
Oh.
That's my bad.
Well, let's take a look. Excuse us, folks. This is live television for you here.
We're doing it live, like we said. We're doing it live. But I'm clicking create poll. It's not doing anything.
It's not letting you create it. The poll.
It's let me create the Zuckerberg. Let me create the damn poll. Let me
Getting
create the
zucked.
poll.
We're getting zucked.
We are
I don't
getting
see it.
zucked.
I'm not seeing it, bro. Oh well, it's not a big deal.
What? This is what?
Activate poll.
You gotta activate it? This is stupid.
That's a lot of clicks.
This is dumb. All right. You have to save it. Then you gotta click create poll. Then you gotta click on the poll itself and click Oh my God. I understand it now. This is why it's not intuitive.
Why?
You have to create the poll. You make the poll, and then you save it, and then you click on. They have a list of polls. You click on it, and you say activate poll. Create poll is just create a new one. That's all that is.
Okay.
So now we have an active poll. We might have two. I don't know. We're gonna go through this, and I'm gonna
Vote early and vote often.
This is pure voter fraud on our.
But I'm still not seeing it. Oh wait.
You see it? Is it on your end? By the way, if we didn't say anything earlier, this is the election special, so this is all going to be.
Well,
not
I had
all
a
of
great
it. It's going to be a
info,
lot
but
of election
I mean,
stuff.
I had a great intro.
Why the fuck
but,
do we have 2 streams live right now? I'm losing my mind. I did a lot of work for today's show, by the way. I did a lot.
Let's forget about this
I did a lot of
nonsense, then.
stuff. I did a lot.
Let's
of
get
work.
into the meat and potatoes. Well, this is dead air. This is terrible. It's Bush League.
It's not dead air. We're talking. What are you
Yeah,
talking
nobody
about?
cares. We're talking about problems we're having. This is why we'll never be in the big time, Adam.
No, we're figuring it out. We're figuring it out live. That's what we're doing.
We should have done this as a test. Look, Izzy doesn't even care.
No, she doesn't. She's digging in the couch.
She's on her own. She's on
digging
her
in
own.
the couch.
You know what, Adam? I'm just gonna go because I know I've said this before about our podcast.
I think the poll showed up. By the way, you keep talking. I'm gonna.
I have said this before about our podcast. I have said, you know, we've had some important ones. I've said this about other podcasts that we've done, that this is the most important podcast we've ever done.
You keep saying that. You keep bringing
But
that up.
this podcast, this time I mean it. This is the most important podcast in our lifetime. And I mean it. I mean it.
I don't know about that.
Yes, it is. Just like
Possibly.
the election. This is the most important election we will have in our lifetime. And I know I said that the last couple elections, but this time I mean it. This is the most important election we can have. And this is the most important podcast you will listen to explain to you about the election.
Take us there, man.
I
Take
am
us there.
because we started this podcast back in 2015. You know, right around the time that Trump was coming down the golden escalator.
Yeah, that's what's beautiful about the show. We're as old as Trump's political
It's beautiful. It's the most beautiful show you'll ever listen to in your life. We are the same age as Donald Trump's political aspirations. About as successful too. Let's just put it that way. We've had highs. We've had a lot of lows. We haven't been indicted yet, so that's one positive.
Keep going.
But yeah, I'm going. So
keep going.
So yeah, so we are our podcast is the same age as Trump's, going political, and I feel like we've grown with him over the years, and we've always said we don't want this to be a political podcast. That was never our goal from day one.
That didn't last.
But I still don't think we're necessarily a political podcast. I think we talk about politics a lot more often than we initially wanted to.
A lot.
Because that's kind of where culture has taken us. You know, don't hate the player, hate the game. And it is
when
what
the
it
game
is.
is life, what are you gonna do? You gotta hate a little
All
bit.
I know is we're here.
We're queer.
We're gonna talk a lot about politics in this episode. So if you don't like it, you can kiss Adam's butt.
No, don't kiss my butt. I don't
I'm
want,
kind of a
I don't
radio.
want any of that nonsense.
I'm kind of a radio junkie, Adam.
A little bit, yeah.
I really like podcasts, and I listen to a bunch of them. I also listen to a lot of radio, including AM talk radio. And AM talk radio is nothing but conservative smut.
A little bit, yeah.
So I do a lot of hate listening, but I feel like it's good because I get to listen to alternative opinions. You know, I think it's good.
Yeah. I think
For the
it's-
most part.
I think alternative opinions are what make the country great. We can have alternative opinions, and that's great. It's gotten I don't want to say it's gotten a little out of hand the past few years.
You can
but it's
say that,
gotten
though.
a little out of hand because there's a difference between alternative opinions and alternative facts. There's a bit of a difference there. A lot of people these days think that facts are just opinions now.
So I'm going to open up with a story because this is really the only thing that I kind of prepared for in this show. You've done all the legwork, but I did want to talk about this.
I've done a lot of legwork.
There is a local radio show in the county where we live. Probably has like as many listeners as we do. So, I mean, they're on the AM radio waves, which I don't think anybody under 65 like tunes in except for yours truly.
Maybe we can't see the poll because we own For a Distraction page. Maybe that's why. I
You're
don't know.
still going on about that.
It's
poll.
right there though. Look, it's right on the screen. I expand the video, so maybe you
Click on it.
I clicked on it. There.
Okay, we voted. You clicked on Harris.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Cool.
Keep going with your story.
All
I'm
right, so
listening. I can multitask.
I can't. So
I can multitask, sir.
dude,
so
put a pin in the freaking poll. It's not scientific. It's about as scientific as the polls that they're conducting for the states right now.
that's why they're
that
so
you
important.
hate. Enough of the polls. I've had it with polls.
What does this button do? Keep going. I'm listening.
You're over here pushing buttons now. I can't work in this
I got
environment.
ADHD right now.
Oh, man.
Keep going.
So
I'm
this
listening.
local radio show, I call in quite a bit.
I can't work in this environment.
And
right now.
the guy. So this local radio. I'm hearing.
show,
I'm hearing twice. Why am I hearing twice?
The guy. It's because I'm playing with stuff. I'm messing with stuff. Okay.
Could you stop? Seriously?
I figured out what that button did. I figured out what the button did.
God,
Go
dude.
ahead. Go ahead.
I can't
I'm
even-
done.
I
I'm
can't
gonna. I'm
even-
closing the stream.
I can't even.
I'm
with
closing the
this.
stream on my end. I'm
Oh.
closing the stream, and I'm gonna listen
Cross
to you.
the streams. Now you fucked up my story big time.
You didn't even start the story. Yet.
I've been talking about the story. You just
You
haven't
talked
been
about
listening.
AM radio, but you didn't start
That's
your
where the
portion
story.
of the story
That's
started.
where the story begins.
Yeah, where'd
I
it
have
start?
To, I have to lay the groundwork. People won't understand if I jump right into the juicy
So
part.
lay the groundwork. You haven't
I've
started.
been trying, but you're fucking around with this, whatever the hell it is. Jesus Christ.
How about it, sir? The baton.
I need to
is in-
calm down for a second.
The baton is in
Fucking
your court.
annoyed.
I think you're a little anxious. You've been a little anxious for like a few months now.
There's a good reason
little,
to be anxious.
Little woosah, sir. Little woosah.
Back to my story, which is the whole fucking content, the only thing I wanted to put on the show. So this guy, his name is Ron Arrett. Good guy. Elderly gentleman. He's been doing this show since like the 80s. He does it like twice a week. And he's a decent guy. He really is. But in his later age, he kind of takes some time off. Well, they get this guy to fill in for him from time to time. And his name is Stefan Martin. And he is just wildly, wildly extreme. And he takes another guy's show and kind of hijacks it and makes it right-wing smut, which is not what this show is supposed to be.
No.
But they do give him a little bit of free range.
Little wiggle room.
They do, and I don't understand why they do this. But, I've called in several times. I really only call in. This is probably why they give him the wiggle room, because he attracts a different audience, a.k.a. me.
Yeah.
Because when Ron's on the show, he doesn't really push any of my buttons that make me want to call in. When Martin's on the show, he pushes my buttons enough that I have to call in and tell him why he's wrong. I think I've talked about it on the show before, but
I think you have, yeah.
But recently, it was like his last time subbing for Ron before the election. And toward the end of the show, he made a statement. And he was talking about, I don't know if you saw, it was all over the news. At one of Kamala Harris's rallies, there were some hecklers. And the hecklers started shouting her down while she was speaking, and they said something, And Kamala,
Jesus is king is what
they
think
said Jesus is king, but I'm getting to that.
Okay.
Allegedly, they said Jesus is king. Kamala Harris then says, I think you're at the wrong rally. You need to go to the smaller rally down the street. And that was I loved that take, because we know how Trump cares so much about crowd sizes.
Yeah.
And Harris's rallies have been bigger than Trump's, and he just hates that. You saw how much she got under his skin at the debate when she brought that up. So she was doing that again. Well, the right wing took that and ran with it, because they said, those hecklers said that Jesus is king, and she said, you're at the wrong rally. That goes to show you any Christian should not vote for her.
Yeah.
Okay, that's completely grasping at straws, because I talked about on the show, the Erie, Pennsylvania rally. There was a heckler there, and he actually was only a few sections away from me. And he was yelling something, and he was much further away than Vice President Harris. I couldn't hear what the hell the guy was saying. I could only hear that he was yelling. And he was like grabbed by ushers and security and Secret Service, and he was removed from the arena. My theory, and I think this is true, Kamala Harris could not hear what the hecklers were saying. She didn't hear that they said Jesus is king. She just heard that they were yelling something over her, which is very unchristian-like and rude to interrupt the Vice President of the United States to begin with. So when she made that comment, she didn't know what they were saying. And so now all of a sudden it's this huge deal. Martin on the radio, he brought that up.
I'm going to interject just for a quick second. That is pure speculation.
Mine?
There's no guarantee. You can't say that she may not have. That's pure speculation.
It is.
She may have. It's equally as possible that she did understand, and it's equally possible she didn't. That's pure speculation.
I mean, scientifically,
I understand what you're saying.
Think about the thousands and thousands of people.
I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying it's speculation.
I listened to the audio of that. I couldn't make it out that they said Jesus is king.
You're also surrounded directly by a bunch of people also talking and making noise where she's not. She's on the main stage. The noise isn't, you know what I'm saying?
No, I don't know what you're saying. When I listen to the sound bites,
if you're sitting in an audience and you got a bunch of people around you talking and then somebody yells something, you may not be able to hear them as well as if you're just by yourself.
Adam, the vice president was speaking. Everyone's quiet. You're listening to the speech. It's not like a roar of a crowd like at a sporting event. No one's talking. It's quiet. But it's still
you could also still understand what he said on the video too, on the recording.
I only could understand it after they said, "Oh, he said Jesus is king."
You got shit. You got terrible hearing.
When
I could understand it immediately.
When I knew what to listen for, I could make it out then. I'm just saying there is a good possibility with the thousands and thousands of people in that arena that she did not hear it.
But you just said that nobody was making noise, though. You said that it was
I
quiet.
didn't say they're making noise.
You said it was quiet. So then,
yes, it was quiet.
So then, why wouldn't she be able to hear one person yelling?
Because you're so far away. Because there's thousands and thousands of people.
Again, though,
you're such a distance away. Have you ever been to a giant arena like that? You know how big it is. I don't know where the person was who was heckling in relation to the stage, but the one that I went to, there was a heckler. He was closer to me than her. We were nowhere near that stage. There was no way that she was hearing what the person said. She didn't even acknowledge this person.
Bad hearing. I think your hearing's a little poor.
Are you calling me old?
No, I'm just saying your hearing's a little poor. I know for a fact because I've had it tested. I have whatever the 2020 version of hearing is, 2020 vision version of hearing, because I've had it tested, because I've in dealing with the shit that was going on the side of my head, I thought maybe it was an ear thing, so I had hearing testing done, and they're like, your hearing's perfect, you have the hearing of a 20-year-old dude.
You know what? I'm gonna stand by my remarks. I don't think
fair enough.
I don't think the vice president heard what was being said. Regardless, I don't care what you say. I don't care if you say Charles is king of England. No, you don't interrupt somebody. I learned that in kindergarten. It's rude. You don't do that. That's not the Christian thing to do. I'm a Christian. You're not. So I'm telling you, you don't do that. It's bullshit.
Fair enough.
Anyway, so the homeboy on the radio show played that clip. And he called her, are you ready for this, Adam?
Sure.
He called her a minion of Satan. And that's when I said, you know what? It's time to call in. So I called in to call this guy out, and I believe you have the sound, right?
I do. I actually.
Let's just play. Enough of my commentary.
Yes.
Let's
very
play
much
it.
So.
Do you have the video too, or
no? I didn't. What's the point of the video?
There's no point of the video.
It's a thumb playing with a soundboard.
I would rather you have this to sound. So I'm good work.
Man, what a difference that is, right? So Jesus is king at our Republican rallies, and Kamala Harris says you're at the wrong rally. You need to go down to the small rally down the street. Just absolutely disgusting. Let's go back to the phones. 724-981-7900. You're back on the air. Go right ahead.
All right. I just had to call real quick. I know we're running short on time, but it was absolutely ridiculous for you to say that Kamala Harris is a minion of Satan.
She is.
It's irresponsible for you to say something like that with a microphone in front of you, not even on your own show, not on a Braun show. You can say, I disagree with her politics, I disagree with her policy, and that's fine. When you say something like that, that's absolutely horrible.
Oh, yeah. Calling people Hitler is cool, right? Calling people Hitler is cool.
The staff admits.
Oh my God, you're so two-faced.
His generals to be like the Hitler
dude,
generals.
You're so two-faced. You call here lecturing me on what I can and can't say, but you can say whatever you want.
Donald Trump
you know what? I'm going to do something I normally don't do. I'm going to do something I normally don't do. I'm just going to hang up on you. I'm so tired of the
ridiculous.
I'm so tired of the BS, man. I mean, come on, dude.
I got one more.
So you can say whatever you want, and other people have to shut the F up. Come on. That's the You're the Democrat. You embody the Democrat Party in a nutshell.
Well, that was it.
Did you listen to any more of that show, by the way? Because I continued listening for a little bit just to see what the next caller would say.
I think so, yeah.
The next caller was very like sarcastic about like, oh, you're right. Donald Trump is Hitler because Donald Trump murdered thousands and millions of people and stuff like that. Like, oh yeah, he's definitely Hitler. It's like, it's not what we're saying, buddy. That's not what we're saying.
So
the things that he hopes for, the things that he talks about, and the things that he portrays himself as is very Hitler-esque. The same kind of dialogue that he uses is the same kind of dialogue that Hitler used. So
right. I'm trying to think back and maybe back in the archives of For Your Distraction I've done it, and I don't necessarily know if I would agree with it now. I don't think I've ever compared Trump to Hitler. Maybe in jest, but I have called him a fascist, and I will call him a fascist right now.
You've compared him to Hitler. I had to think about it. You have.
Well, maybe
because I think, and I could be wrong. I think that led to an argument that led to like a portion of the show that never aired.
How convenient! It never aired.
No, like we never aired that portion because it just wasn't good material because it led into just an argument with like a guest that we had on the show. I think if I'm remembering correctly, you compared him to Hitler because you were having a debate with somebody else who was a conservative, friend of Brandon who used to be on the show.
Oh,
he was
conservative. Brandon, our former pop culture correspondent, who's moved on to bigger and better things.
I think you compared him to Hitler, and then the person that in question that you were debating was like, that was your worst move you could do in a debate because he made the point of saying what we learned because he learned it in debate class in college. When you drop the Hitler bomb, you've immediately like gone too far because Hitler's the extreme, and you know, I guess it's like a thing in debate where once you start comparing him to Hitler, you've automatically lost because like you've gone too far.
Okay, so debate class that you took in college, ever since the rise of MAGA,
that's my
you can
memory.
take all of those books that you had and throw them in the garbage. The Donald Trump experiment has changed the game.
By the way, this is pre-2020 we're talking about.
Sure,
so,
sure. Yeah. I mean, things are very, very different now.
Yeah.
And if I said that back then, I want to change that in saying that he's a fascist. Hitler was a fascist, but not all fascists were Hitler. I think Donald Trump is a fascist.
Whoa.
Yes.
You can't call it's so terrible for you to call a presidential candidate a fascist.
No, I'm doing
What kind of un-American are you? I
think it was General John Flynn.
It's so wrong of you, sir.
It wasn't me. It was General John Flynn, who was Trump's former chief of staff.
It doesn't matter.
No, he's the one who said it, not me.
You can't call you're a fascist like Harris then, because Harris called Trump a fascist and she's a terrible person. You can't just call somebody a fascist like that.
Did you wake up today and choose violence?
You can't do that. You can't be that person that calls somebody a fascist because you're wrong. You're wrong if you call an opposing candidate a fascist.
We must defeat Comrade Kamala Harris. I use that term because you know what that term means, right? Communist. She's a Marxist, communist, fascist, socialist. She's not actually a socialist. She's gone past that. Remember I used to say, America will never be a socialist country. Actually, they skipped past socialism. They started at communism.
Whoopsie.
Oh, no.
Whoopsie. Sorry.
How dare you?
I'm sorry. I guess if Trump can say it, it's okay.
So Trump called the vice president a fascist. But if anybody else, including Trump's former chief of staff, calls him a fascist, it's the end of the world.
I guess. Yeah.
Why is there this double standard?
That's what a lot of people have been talking about lately. There seems to be like this double standard where when it comes to Trump, it's all about moving the goalposts, and he's a real person, and he says it as it is. He's not afraid to speak his mind. He's not afraid to tell it as it is, and he can do no wrong. But whenever it comes anything Kamala does, it's never good enough. She always constantly has to prove herself. It doesn't make any sense, except for the fact, and I had this exact conversation with my mother today when we were driving to my grandmother's today, because she's a woman, and B, she is a woman that is not white.
She's a person of color. She's a brown woman.
Yes.
Right.
That is the reason why. So
it sucks. It truly does. I think Donald Trump is a fascist. I do. And I have no shame in my game for saying that. You may disagree, Adam, and that's fine. But to call someone a minion of Satan, come on. That's ridiculous. I know I said that word like 10 times on the call.
So here's
the
the
thing
thing about
that's the word that pops in there.
Here's the thing about Trump. I'm thinking about it a lot lately. Here's the thing about Trump. I don't think he is a fascist. I think he's a selfish piece of shit that just wants to do what he wants to do for him. I think the people around him currently want fascism for them. I think him himself is a selfish prick that just cares about himself only, and that's it.
No, that's fair too. I think authoritarian might be the better word.
That's a better word.
I think he doesn't understand civics and the American government system, like the checks and balances. I feel like when he was elected president the first time that he wanted to get in and rule as a king and just do things at the snap of his fingers. And it doesn't work that way.
I've hit the TikTok algorithm where it's the liberals that get a circle of Republicans around them and they're like, fucking debate me. And it's just like a Republican pops up, debates, and they hit the clock.
I've seen both ways. Yeah,
and the idea of it is everybody else in the circle has a flag, and if the majority raise a flag, the person who jumped in the seat has to get out of the seat because they voted them out. And I've seen a few different debates of these from a few different liberal talkers. One of them is a very well-known person named Destiny. I've seen one with him, but I saw one with another younger person, and he said the same thing that I've been saying for years. I've been saying it for years. Ain't I been saying it?
I've been saying it for years. I've been saying it for 10 damn years.
He only wanted to be president, and I think that's part of the reason why he wants to be president again, just to cement himself in the history books. Because if you're just a rich billionaire playboy, who's going to remember you 100 years from now? Maybe they'll make a movie about you the way they did, the way they might do with like a Frank Sinatra type character or something like that. But other than that, like, who's going to remember you 100 years from now, 200 years from now, 300 years? You become president of the United States for as long as America is a country, for as long as the United States, I should say, is a country. You're in the history books. You're remembered forever. I think that it's the ego. It's the egotism, the narcissism in him that wanted that to happen.
I have a theory, and I don't know how true this is, but do you remember before 2015, there was a little show, I think it was on NBC, I could be wrong, maybe ABC, but I think it was on NBC. There was a show called The Apprentice.
Yeah.
Do you remember The Apprentice, Adam?
Yeah.
I don't think I ever watched a single episode of that show.
Not a single episode.
It's just not my thing, but it was relatively popular.
Yeah.
People liked the show, and it was Donald Trump's show. He was the guy, and I mean, it is what it is. I forget, something happened. He made one of his patented Donald Trump ridiculous remarks, and I want to say he was fired from the show. And I think, and he was so pissed.
You're fired.
He got fired from his own show where he fired people, basically.
Yeah.
And he got really, really mad. So he decided, as a publicity stunt, to run for president. And he was like using it to propel himself into his next show, whatever it was going to be, on a new network, something. He never planned on winning. And then all of a sudden, he tapped into that nationalist,
yeah,
you know, and he struck a chord, and he ended up winning the presidency. He didn't even want to do that. He was using running for president as a way to promote his new show. That's my theory. Then when he won, cool. Now he's committed all these crimes. So now he needs to win again to pardon himself. That's what he wants to do. If he doesn't win, he's going to go to jail. And you know President Harris isn't going to pardon him.
No.
So he's going to be in the big house. If he wins the presidency, he can pardon himself.
So when recently I was watching an interview with Howard Stern. And Howard Stern used to be like kind of friends with Donald Trump, like before 2016.
Okay.
like they weren't like, call you up and have dinner when you're in New York or something like that, but he would go on a show sometimes and they would like joke around and stuff like that. And I guess he was talking to Donald Trump, and Donald Trump said, because he had heard from some other people, that I'm going to run for president. And Howard's just like, why the fuck you want to run for president? He's like, because I'm writing a book. And if I write a book and I run for president, like people have told me that in the past, whenever somebody runs for president and they're writing a book, the book skyrockets and it jumps right to like the New York Times bestsellers and stuff like that, and that's what I want to do. And so his whole thing was just to sell this book that he was writing.
Okay, yeah.
And that's his entire goal. It wasn't to do anything with the country. It wasn't to change anything. He was just trying to sell a book, and that was his whole thing.
Do you listen to Howard Stern? Are you a Howard Stern fan?
I have a love-hate relationship with Howard Stern. I do. I enjoy him a lot. I think he's done a lot of really good stuff in terms of radio, in terms of like boost. I always say this, he's kind of like the original podcaster before podcast was a thing.
Right.
That's kind of what he did. Now, the reason why I have a love-hate relationship with him, because he has a very, very hateful opinion of podcasters. Like he views podcasters as underneath him, essentially. Maybe his opinion have changed, but the last time I heard him talking about it, he basically was saying something along the lines of, podcasters are lame because they just want to do what I want to do, and if they want to do what I want to do, they need to go through the work, they need to go get a job at a radio station, they need to, eat the dirt, eat the shit, and like grind through it and then get their own show and stuff like that. They're just basically posers and stuff like that. And so that's why it's kind of I like Howard Stern, but because of that view, it's made me like kind of soured on him a little bit. I don't hate him though. Like,
well, I'll tell you how I feel about Howard Stern, just because I think it's relevant. I like I said earlier, I'm a radio guy, and I respect everything that he has done. But especially when I was younger, back in like the 90s, like the heyday of Howard Stern, I did not care.
That was like Private Parts Howard Stern.
Yeah, I did not care for him because he was very disrespectful to women, and a lot of the stuff he did, he was like that. What's the term they use? The shock jock.
Yeah,
that's he was like the OG of that. And now he's still on the radio. If you listen to him now, he has seriously calmed down. Like, he's a decent dude now. And I realized he was playing a character all those years ago. And you know how you hate that. And
yeah,
it's a thing.
It's a bit of an excuse.
He wasn't breaking kayfabe like he was like the professional wrestler. He was just being that asshole because it got ratings up. But in real life, I don't think he's that guy at all.
I don't necessarily think he was playing a character. I mean, what I'm going to say is this. I think he was kind of a little bit like me. Like, me. What me on the microphone and me in real life are two very different people. I'm much more outgoing and I'm much more outlandish on the microphone than I'm ever in real life. Mm-hmm. And I think that's kind of what it was with Howard Stern. Like when he in his real life, like he's a husband, he's a dad, he's like doing the same stuff. But when he got on the microphone, he's like, oh shit, people are listening to me. Like, I'm doing something really fun. Let's fucking go wild and crazy. Let's fucking do some shit. I think it was more of that than just like, I'm gonna play the character that is like the heel of like radio where I'm gonna be disrespectful. I think it was just like goofing off and having a good time. And he's a smart person because he knew as times changed, he had to change himself. The Howard Stern in the 90s would not work today on the radio. Like you said, it'd be disrespectful. It'd be unpopular. That's what it would be. He's now morphed himself into, well, you know what? Now I just want to kind of like just talk to people. I'm popular enough. Like, I'm famous enough. I just want to get celebrities on and just have fun conversations. That's all I want to do.
Culture is very different in 2024
exactly.
as it was in 1994.
Exactly. I think that's more of that than simply like he was playing a character. So, you could say it's like a little column A, little column B. So maybe.
I just have to.
And it knocks the hell out of your throat.
Yeah.
I had to remember which one was which. Okay.
Yeah. Remember 4 is the other one of that same statement.
I'm a human being, right?
That, for ladies and gentlemen, if you did not know, recently, a couple days ago, he had some mic problems, and he decided to show off his blowjob skills on the mic stand. So that was from that. That's your president, ladies and gentlemen. That's your.
Knocks the hell out of your throat.
Exactly. When you do it right. When you hawk to and spit on that thing.
Adam.
Yeah.
We've talked about this in nauseum on this show, but You have so far, since we've been doing this podcast, you have a perfect record of making your prediction. And this year, it was kind of different. You made your prediction very, very early.
Yeah.
Very early. In fact, you made your prediction when Joe Biden was still in the presidential race. And you predicted back then, you said, and I quote, Joe Biden's going to win.
And I made that prediction not excited about it, more hopeful than anything else.
I don't know.
Not hopeful for Biden, less hopeful for Trump to get in office.
I don't know if you remember, but right afterwards, I agreed with you. I said yes. I think Joe Biden is also going to win. I said, I don't see how Trump has a path to the presidency or whatever. So we had both predicted, incredibly too early, but we both predicted that Joe Biden would win. Well, then we had a couple things happen, a couple assassination attempts on Trump. We had a really, really bad debate where Joe Biden shit the bed, and he drops out of the race. And his vice president, Kamala Harris, picks up the ball and runs with it.
Or if they're right, she usurped the throne.
Okay, okay, House of the Dragon. But anyway, right then, as soon as that happened, I said to you, okay, things are crazy this year. If you want to revise your pick, you may do so. I'll allow it. And you said right then and there, you're like, no, I'm going to keep my pick, and I think Kamala Harris is going to win.
I mean, technically, I did revise my pick, but yes, the Democratic
Fair
Party
enough.
won. Yes,
but I don't know if you know, I never made mine.
No, you didn't.
No, I did make it when it was Biden because I seriously thought Biden would win.
You're ready to have a heart attack from the discussions we have like behind the scenes. You're ready to have a stroke almost.
You know what? I'll let you try again. I let you revise it once. I'm going to let you revise it again since it's the election special. Adam, would you like to change your prediction, or would you like to stick with it? What's Adam's lead pipe lock that's going to happen for the election?
I'm just going to double down.
You're going to double down?
I'm going to double down, yeah.
You think Kamala Harris is going to win?
I'm not like most optimists that are on TikTok and stuff like that are like, it's a guaranteed, she's going to win in a landslide. It's going to be like Trump's going to get trounced. I don't know about that. But I do think she's going to win, especially after this last Trump rally that we're going to segue into a little bit because I got a few things for that.
Okay.
I think Trump needs PA to win.
I agree.
And I think after his last rally, with some of the guests he had, he might have lost PA because there's a massive Puerto Rican community in this state, which I didn't know prior how big it was.
I knew we had a lot, but I didn't know it was that big. It's like the fourth largest Puerto Rican population. Like,
it's crazy.
Florida, California, and New York are the only states that have more than Pennsylvania, which is wild.
He messed up by having this one individual come to his last rally, to a comedian, which we'll talk about in a second.
We'll talk about,
After that, it was a little iffy. I was like, I'm still for Harris. I'm seeing a lot. My big thing is like, and it's very biased towards the area we live in. Some of my thought processes, but there's a lot of the neighborhoods that like I'll drive through and the streets I'll go down that were predominantly like in 2020 they were all Trump signs, all Make America Great Again, all Trump signs, boom, down the road. Now, especially more conservative areas such as New Wilmington and even here in West Middlesex, there's a lot more Harris signs, including Republicans for Harris signs. I'm seeing a lot more of those.
Yeah,
and as I drive through like the entire Mercer County, like I'm seeing a lot more mixture of Harris signs, Republicans for Harris signs, where there used to be nothing but Trump signs just 4 years ago. So like that's kind of boosted my confidence a little bit that like, look, it's not going to be a landslide, but it's very strong in Harris's favor. So I'm kind of doubling down. I'm like, yeah, Harris is going to win. Like, I think Trump has, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't follow the polls or the Electoral College because I don't recognize the Electoral College, but Trump kind of has to win PA to win the presidency almost.
Yes,
he's got some hard places. Like if he doesn't win PA, it's an uphill battle for him.
There is a way that Trump could win the Electoral College without Pennsylvania, but it is very, very slim. And I would say the same thing for Harris. I think Pennsylvania, our home state, is so important. I think both need it.
I didn't realize this like
both need
20 years ago, but like now I realize that now PA is like one of the most important fucking states in this goddamn country when it comes to presidency.
Yeah, Pennsylvania.
Like it is so important.
It really is. All right.
Side note. I just to veer from that just real quick. North Carolina. You see that the one I think it was like a senator, governor, or whatever, congressman or whatever, who was saying that because of the devastation in North Carolina from like the hurricane, because it typically goes red, they should just forego all the elections. Just send it towards Trump. Like, don't even hold elections. Just give it to Trump because we need to focus on recovery.
The hurricane that devastated North Carolina did the majority of its damage in western North Carolina.
Is his name. Andy Harris.
Western North Carolina, which is the more red part of the state. Eastern North Carolina can be a little bit more blue.
Yeah.
But western North Carolina is red. And that's where the devastation and damage is. And there's still parts of North Carolina a month later that still don't have power.
Yeah.
So that's what he was meaning. He's like, we should just give it to Trump.
Yeah.
I did see that. But anyway, back to what we're saying. So you're doubling down on your prediction.
Yeah.
I still haven't made mine, Adam.
Yeah, you've been silent.
I did make it when it was Biden, and I said Biden would win. But now it's not Biden anymore, so I get to revise mine, and I haven't made it yet. And I've been really, really struggling with this. And I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to make my prediction right now on the election special for a distraction. Adam, I think Donald Trump is going to win.
Really?
I do. I hope I'm wrong. I very much hope I'm wrong. But I'm basing it off of math. And I hate the numbers. I hate the numbers in Pennsylvania. I hate the numbers in Georgia and in Nevada. If you look, I know you hate polls. And
they're never right.
And yes, polls can be wrong.
They're almost always wrong. They're
right
massively
now,
wrong most of the time. They're wrong enough that we should never trust polls. That's how often they're wrong.
In 2016, the polls had Hillary Clinton winning. Actually, a month before the election, they had Hillary up big. But it got close to the election. They kind of came down. But right at the election, Hillary was still winning in the polls, but by a little bit. She ended up losing. In 2020, all the way up into the election, the polls had Biden up big. And Biden did win, but he didn't win by much. And now this year, the polls are tied. So the polls aren't as good as they were in 2020 or 2016. And that frightens me. And okay, you can say what you want about polls, but I put more stake in them than you do. The second thing that bothers me are the early voting numbers. The early voting numbers in both 2016 and 2020, Democrats wiped Republicans out both years, especially in 2020 because of the pandemic. This year, it's tied. It is 50-50. Early voting, Republicans and Democrats are the same, and that keeps me up at night. And I'm sweating, and I am scared to death.
The thing you're forgetting, and I'm going to add it. You know what I'm going to say, but I'm going to add something to this that I didn't say before. You're forgetting a few things. Number one, Gen Zers do not vote early, typically. You know why? They're young. They're worried about partying, getting laid. They're going to vote.
Are they going to vote at all?
They're going to vote on the day of.
Are they going to vote?
They're going to vote on day of.
Historically, young people don't vote.
But be honest though. Think of the past 4 years. The Gen Zer has been one of the most vocal young groups that we've ever had in terms of, especially when it comes to what's the biggest thing? School shootings.
Yes.
They've been the most vocal group. So I think they're different than what we were when we were young. Like we turned out to vote, some of us, but like a lot of us are like, who gives a shit? This group is not like that. The other thing you're forgetting about, the Republicans for Harris voters. They're not gonna vote early. They're Republicans. They're gonna go day of, and they're gonna vote, and they're gonna cast their vote.
A lot of Republicans are voting early now.
A lot of Republicans are voting early because Trump told them to vote early,
which he told them not to vote early in 2020.
That's my
point.
And
in 2024,
so
now
the Republicans,
is telling them.
The Republicans for Harris people, they're not listening to Trump. So why would they vote early?
But couldn't some of these Republicans for Harris actually still be voting early, but voting for Harris, but those numbers are counting toward the Republicans?
I think you're psyching yourself out, dude. You're entering like Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Charlie, strings across the board, like conspiracy. I gotta pull my hair. You're entering that level of conspiracy. You need to calm the fuck down, dude. You've entered that level of like, well, what if they're just saying they're voting for Harris, but they're really voting for Trump? What's going on?
I'm just nervous, and I hope I'm wrong. Look at me. I'm wearing a Harris sticker right now. I've been knocking doors. I've been making phone calls. I've been trying. I want to be wrong, but I just look at the numbers, man. I like numbers. Numbers don't lie.
The people that
numbers don't
participate in polls are the old people. Who's been dying the past 4 years?
A lot of old people.
Motherfucking old people are dying. Who don't participate in polls? Young people.
But let me tell you about young people, dude. Yes, Harris has a decisive advantage among young people. No question about it. But her percentage of young people is lower than both Biden and Clinton. There's some young people out there that say, oh, I hate Trump. I'm not voting for Trump. But I'm not going to vote for Harris either because these last 4 years haven't been great for me.
Who gives a shit about them? Because guess what? They're not voting for Harris, but they're also not voting for Trump. So it doesn't matter. They don't matter at that point.
But we need those young people to counter out the old people.
You're right. But again, a lot of old people died, and a lot of Gen Zers have reached voting age who have come out in support for Harris.
I'm nervous about it, Adam.
You're letting yourself be gaslit, man. I think you need to woosah yourself. You need to calm the fuck down, dude.
I'm nervous about what our country is going to look like.
You want an edible? You want an edible? Would you like an edible?
We were supposed to do that.
Would you like one? I'll give you one for election night so you can take it. So
election night.
So you can chill the fuck out and just calm down.
And Kamala Harris wants to legalize recreational marijuana federally.
And Tim Walz wants to get rid of the Electoral College. So I've been saying it for years. Ain't I been saying it?
Saying it for years.
We should have put that on the soundboard.
I'm a human being.
I'm going to give you another reason why, because this is something else I prepared for tonight. I'm going to give you another reason why you shouldn't worry about it, because, again, we talked about it briefly, but I think this past week, Trump has lost a lot of the Puerto Rican vote.
You mentioned this, yes.
A lot of the Puerto Rican, and we're going to tell you why. So there's this comedian that decided to speak at... Also, we didn't talk about this either, but side note, Trump was on Joe Rogan's podcast, and it was kind of a terrible interview.
Your boy, Joe Rogan.
Yeah, my boy, Joe Rogan. But, like, he's not voting. But he's not voting for him, though. He's not.
Joe Rogan has said... Joe Rogan voted for Trump in 2020.
Yeah.
And he said he's not voting for Trump in 2024, but he's also not voting for Harris.
Again, so he doesn't matter. So it doesn't matter. And he advanced on his podcast, and they were talking about abortion, and Joe Rogan was surprisingly like the voice of reason on that episode, because I saw the clip, and he was like, I don't think, because he was talking about like the fact that some states want to be illegal and some states want to be legal. He's like, I don't think it should be like a law where if a woman goes across the state to go get a procedure done, a medical procedure done, that's legal in another state, illegal in your state, I don't think it should be like right for them to then get arrested when they cross back onto their state. Like, it's not right. And so he kind of blew up like JD's whole Vance thing, and JD Vance is like, I haven't really like, given my position fully on this and everything like that. It's still up in the air, which is a fucking lie, because we have him on video saying what he believes about that. But
he made the comment, which I thought was really good, which I'm not a Joe Rogan guy at all, but he made the comment about, he goes, gambling is illegal in Hawaii. Can't gamble in Hawaii.
Yeah.
But you could fly in an airplane from Hawaii to Nevada, go to Las Vegas and gamble because gambling's legal in Nevada. But when you fly home from gambling in Vegas, you don't get arrested at the airport in Hawaii for going there to gamble. He's like, but that's what Texas wants to do. If you go to Pennsylvania to have an abortion and come back to Texas and they arrest you for doing it. I was like, that's a pretty good point.
Dude, how fucked up would it be if this election Joe Rogan was the secret hero for like eliminating Trump and like getting his listeners to not vote for him? Wouldn't that be fucking crazy?
It won't happen.
No, but like it'd be nuts.
Joe Rogan is a little too nuts. A broken clock is right twice a day. So,
but anyway, so there was this rally recently
Okay.
When they had this comedian.
It was in Madison Square Garden in New York City, right?
Again, and to bring up Joe Rogan again, the joke that you're going to hear in a second that has lost a lot of Puerto Rican supporters, I guess I heard that he said that he told him, don't tell that fucking joke. It's going to be bad for you if you do that. And he fucking told it anyway. So this comedian, Tony Hinchcliffe.
He's from Youngstown, Ohio, like about 15 minutes away from where we live.
And you told me, and the only thing I know about him was from this clip from the rally, and you were like, "Hey, do some research,
a lot about him.
Look into him a little bit." I had zero time to look into him.
I'll tell you.
So yeah,
he's from Youngstown, Ohio. He is mostly known for being a roast comedian.
He was on
the roast
like
of Tom
Comedy
Brady.
Central. Yeah,
Comedy Central did a roast of Tom Brady, and I watched that. Did you watch the roast of Tom Brady?
Fuck no, I didn't watch any of the roasts. I'm not a roast guy.
You're not a roast guy?
Nah.
Okay, so he was actually really good on the roast of Tom Brady. He was one of the funnier ones. Maybe Nikki Glazer was the best, but besides that,
funny.
She's really funny.
She's funny.
So he was pretty good. Tony Hinchcliffe was good, but again, I say it's a roast. If you go to a roast, that's what you're signing up for. Even the people who aren't the ones being roasted get roasted at a roast. Like if you're in the crowd, you get roasted at a roast. That's what roasts do. If you're going to cry about somebody made fun of me or it's a roast. Tough shit. A presidential rally is not a roast. The people who went there did not sign up to be roasted.
And guess what they got?
They got roasted.
It was a lot of roasting, and you know what? It wasn't even funny. It was very. You're gonna see it. I put together a compilation of about 1:40 of his time, and it's not all of it. There's way more. Trust me. I watched a lot of it. There's way more. But I put together a compilation. I've been doing a little video editing. I'm proud of myself. You know, I'm getting a little better at it. So this is 1:40 of basically why Donald Trump lost the Puerto Rican vote and probably a lot of other votes.
Believe it or not, people, I welcome migrants to the United States of America with open arms. And by open arms, I mean like this.
Shooing him away. He's like, no, don't come here.
This is for our podcast listeners.
Yes.
It's wild. And these Latinos, they love making babies, too. Just know that. They do. They do. There's no pulling out. They don't do that. They come inside, just like they did to our country.
He was a little hesitant to make that joke on this.
Republicans are the party with a good sense of humor. I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico.
That's the joke that lost Puerto Ricans.
Okay, all right.
Even the crowd went,
okay. We're getting
those are
there.
mega
I think
cultists.
football should be all year right now.
Like you can hear the audible like
an island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico. Okay, all right. Okay. We're getting there. I think football should be all year round.
It's for you, sir.
Yeah. So many great athletes. I don't know about you guys, but I think that Travis Kelce might be the next O.J. Simpson.
Dude, you're going after the Swiftie? Is he a plant?
We're going to talk about it in a second.
Okay. Feels good in here. All right. Heck yeah. It's a cool black guy with a thing on his head. What the hell is that? A lampshade? Look at this guy. Oh, my goodness.
Mind you, you can't see any of these people that he's talking about.
Wow. I'm just kidding. That's one of my buddies. He had a Halloween party last night. We had fun. We carved watermelons together. It was awesome. You guys are... This is a groany little morning crowd, huh? It's tough to follow this audition for the next Commissioner Gordon's over here.
So...
That was really cringy and bad.
It was incredibly cringy. It was
oh, my God.
bad.
I just saw the clip.
There's about 12 minutes of that, something like that, like 10 minutes of that.
Wow.
I broke it down to 1:40. Wow. Some of the stuff, it might be less than 10 minutes. I think it's like probably like more like 6 minutes, but like still, when I was watching that and I was thinking about it, I was like, I don't believe this. I do not believe this, because there was other comments that he made that I didn't include where he was like praising, like he did a small bit about when Donald Trump got shot in the ear, allegedly. That I'm a conspiracy theorist about that one. But like he was talking about how like that's a great place to get, shot in the ear because it heals really quickly and stuff like that. And he was like, how fucking badass was Donald Trump? Because, when he got shot, his mic was still live, and what'd you hear? You heard him say, let me get my shoes. It's like, how badass is that? You're getting shot and you're worried about like looking good and stuff like that. It's like that's a little bit of like Donald Trump praise that I didn't include. But I was thinking about it like before I watched that clip. I was like, what if he's like the ultimate like plant for the Democrats, where he's like, I'm just gonna make this most cringiest, terrible fucking thing, and I'm just gonna do that. I don't believe that. I really don't believe that at all, having watched the entire video that I did watch.
Well, from what you played there, that that could be a new Kamala Harris ad.
It could be.
Just take those clips.
I think it could be, just because I think he's a fucking shit comedian. I'll be honest with you. There's a mutual friend of ours that you mentioned to me, and I'm not gonna name who it is.
I'll say
who said that it's his favorite comedian.
I'll say it. Fuck it. His name's Mike. That's
fucking Mike.
What we do in the shadows. Okay. So no, Brandon.
Yeah.
We talked about him earlier. We're talking about him
now,
again.
I asked.
He loves Tony Hinchcliffe. It's like one of his favorite comedians right now.
I should have fucking tagged him in this episode.
He loves his roasts. He listens to the Kill Tony podcast, which I've listened to a little bit.
Yeah.
It's a really, really popular podcast right now that Tony Hinchcliffe is the...
He mentioned that earlier in his, like, when he first got on stage, and he said he was getting a lot of shit because some of the stuff he was saying.
Well, yeah. So I don't like him. I never really did. I thought his roasts are funny, but
I asked you, I was like, so like Brandon loves him. What does he think of him? And you're like, I don't know. My texts aren't working, so I have no idea.
I gotta bring up old shit.
I sent you the
yes
Henry Winkler today. I made that meme. I made that meme 3 weeks ago. I made that meme weeks ago. It's the Waterboy. If you remember from the movie Waterboy with Adam Sandler, it's the scene where he says, "Gatorade water sucks. Gatorade is better." But I tagged it as "iPhone sucks. Android is better," which I thought was funny.
It's the font.
I had a good laugh. About that one. But yeah. It was an incredibly cringy set piece that he did. A lot of groaning, and I guess from what I understand, like the Trump whoever's like running the show in the Trump campaign, like I guess there was more offensive stuff that they came out and said, like, yeah, there was like a lot more offensive stuff that we told him he could not say, which means they vetted him. And they knew he was going to talk all that other shit about the Puerto Ricans and everything.
Yeah.
So I got one other clip I want to show from that rally.
Okay.
Which is a reminder from all you people out there that are still like, I don't know. I think Trump is like, my whole thing. I think I like Trump. I think, he brings like a good crowd. These are some of the people that are talking about Harris in Trump's camp that showed up and decided they want to say some stuff. This is like a very short, less than 30 seconds. This is like a little compilation of a few people, one of whom that has been on the show before, not on the show, but we featured it.
She's before you start, I want to pause it.
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
This is the perfect segue. I was trying to get your attention to, like, before you started.
I thought you were like, yes, go ahead.
No. I wanted you.
Should have been like this. This is the pause.
I did. I fucking did. But
you're like, you pointed. You were like, okay, go.
And anyway, this is the perfect to say. There's a lot of people out there who just listen to our podcast, and you'll hear the audio, but you're not getting the full effect. If you want to watch the video, Adam takes all this time to cut and edit this video. Go to our Facebook page.
I put in work, babe.
Search for Your Distraction on Facebook. Like our page. We go live on Facebook Live every Saturday night or Friday when we get together to do this, and you'll see it right there, Facebook Live. Or you can watch it on our YouTube channel. We'll post a link for that. That's For Your Distraction on YouTube.
I did the smart thing. I posted the links for all our shit in the description of this video.
I just think you're getting the full effect when you're actually watching the clip, not just listening.
Yes. We're trying to, look, I don't mean to leave out the listeners. I really don't. But we're trying to do more video stuff. And if we're going to do video, we want to at least do some stuff that's more for the video content, and that's why we're kind of like splitting it up a little bit. There's a lot of audio, but there's a lot of video stuff that we're doing too. We want to kind of mix it up, but we don't want to do so much video that's like you have to watch it. You can still get the same effect from the audio, but it's much better on video.
And we're not going to do away with the audio because we have listeners who are like, oh, I like to put on podcasts when I'm driving in my car and I can't watch. I can just listen. So we're going to have the audio for you. But if you can, we recommend you watching the video cast too.
And and we're gonna make the switch on all our descriptions on our social medias. I'm gonna do that tomorrow, actually.
Okay.
But I put all the links for everything that's updated right now in the description of this live stream right now. So we have our Podbean, we got all that stuff, and also, like I said, we made the switch to Podbean. SoundCloud's dead. It's dead. Not the new episodes are not going up on SoundCloud anymore. But I'm keeping.
And it knocks the hell out of your throat.
It was rough, man. It was a rough going. But we made the switch to Podbean, and I'm keeping track of stuff. But if you guys were listening on something and you're like, hey guys, we're not getting the new episodes here anymore, I think Spotify's still updating properly. I checked Apple, it should still be updating. But if there's something that like is not updating for you, let me know. Email us fordistraction@gmail.com. I'm gonna do what I can to make sure that we get the show to you however you listen to it. So but this is the last thing from this rally. I'm not going to do anything else from the Trump rally, but this last thing for all you people that are still on the fence, or all you people that are like, I support Trump. This is the kind of character that you're bringing to the table.
She's a fake, a fraud. She's a pretender. Her and her pimp handlers will destroy our country.
She is the devil, whoever screamed that out. She is the Antichrist. She's just so impressive. As the first Samoan, Malaysian, low IQ, former California prosecutor ever to be elected president.
So that's just like a brief clip of a few people that were talking at Trump's last rally. Same rally that the comedian Tony was at. If that's the kind of camp that you want to be in, if that's really what you're not, so like this, ladies and gentlemen, and all people of binary, non-binary orientations, check your boy out real quick. Just check your boy out real quick, okay?
I'm liking this.
If this election, when it, like, look, say what you want about local elections, but like the election for the president of the United States, it's not just an election about who you think is going to make the country better, because the president doesn't decide everything in the country. All right, they're not the ipso facto leader, king of this country, despite what Trump wants to be. You have to also recognize this is not just somebody who's going to be the president of the country. It's somebody who's going to represent the United States of America on the world stage. Is Kamala Harris or Donald Trump the one that you want to represent this country on the world stage? That's what you got to ask yourself. And all you gotta do is compare, never mind what people say, the opinions, just listen to what his supporters are saying, listen to what the people that show up at his rallies are talking about. The first dude that was talking at that first rally, I listened to a lot of his fucking speech, and he was basically like, he's just a fucking wealthy he's got like hundreds of $1 million, and he was like, his whole rant was, I can't sell real estate in New York anymore because they charge Donald Trump with some shit, and so if they do it to him, they're gonna do it to anybody. So I can't do that anymore. It's just a fucking rich dude saying I can't be rich anymore for the sake of they're gonna come after us. Motherfuckers, how many rich people are you out there? Like, if you're rich, look, if you're a multi-millionaire, I understand. I don't agree with it, but I understand why you might vote for Trump. But if you're some like construction worker, or you're somebody who like makes less than $100,000 a year, or even like if you make less than $500,000 a year, why are you voting for Trump? He ain't gonna do anything for you. He doesn't care about you. He does not give two shits about you. He cares about, if you ain't making $1 million a year, he doesn't give a shit about you. So you didn't push hard enough.
I did.
You gotta really.
I did.
You got a Hawk 2 on that thing, man.
Right? I'm a human being, right?
So there's one more political thing I want to, but it's funny. It's funny. It's a funny thing. One more political thing.
I'm not ready to laugh. I'm not ready to laugh. You know what I need to do?
Daddy, chill.
What the hell is even that?
Okay.
There's one more political thing we're gonna go, and we're gonna move on a little bit. It's a little bit of a long show, but there's some fun stuff after. Hey, we're gonna have a little bit of fun tonight. I got a couple things lined up afterwards, but there's one more thing I'm gonna talk about. What about the third party, Scott? What about the third parties? Where are the
who?
We talked about the Democrats, we talked about the Republicans. Why can't we talk about the third parties?
Don't blame me. I voted for Kronos.
I've been. That's been running through my head all day today. Honestly, it really has. So recently, within the past few weeks, the third party candidates have had their own debate. They decided to have their own debate, and it was
God!
put on.
I know where you're going.
It was
with
put
this.
on by the Free and Equal Elections Foundations. They decided to put on a third party debate. You know what? As American as apple pie is, what is American as apple pie, Scott? Can you guess?
The national anthem?
The national anthem is American as apple pie, Scott. And so we had a great, fantastic opening ceremony to the debate.
One of the best.
With an independent singer. That's great. Fuck. They're going to pay Beyonce or they're going to pay, Taylor Swift all this money to sing. No, they're going to go down to the Drolls and they're going to pay an independent singer to sing the national anthem because they're thinking about the little guy. They're all about the little guy, Scott. That's what they want.
Yeah. Harris has Beyonce. Trump's got Kid Rock. Well, the third party, this is who they have.
So proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. Can I go back? Can I go back, please? Bombs bursting, and I got too nervous. Gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star spangled for the land of the free.
This guy's like out of body.
His eyes are closed.
And
Vermin Supreme's giving her a standing applause.
Just wait. It gets better. She starts walking. She stumbles. She's like, wait, which way do I go?
Bro. I fucked it up.
Can I go again? We're live. We do it live. She was like, I fucked it up. Look. All jokes. We're gonna make fun of this in a second. All jokes aside, I feel bad for her. Like that was a major fuck up. That was your chance. Like she's an indie singer, independent singer, and you get the chance.
She's gonna be independent forever.
Now, yes, but you get the chance.
She votes independent, and she's independent. When you said she was an independent singer, I'm like, oh, she votes independent. She's also unsigned and never will be. If that is not a microcosm of the third party voting, I don't know what is.
I fucked it up. Can I go in? We're live. I'm so nervous. Look, I feel for her. Deep down, I feel for her. Like it's when you're young and you're trying to make it, it's a little nervous being like on that stuff. But you gotta know, like, you're not making it after that.
No,
you'll be lucky if you're making it after that.
Adam, that's awesome. That was great. That was so good. Oh,
That's been on my notes for like 3 weeks. I want to talk about it. We kept doing it. Like, yeah.
That's the national anthem that Jill Stein deserves.
Like they cut to the candidates in the background. And the one dude at the end, his eyes were just closed.
He was just like,
he couldn't handle the cringe. It was secondhand embarrassment, and it was horrible.
He was like, "How did I get here?" like, I'm on stage with a guy who wears a boot on his head. And that's the national anthem that we can afford. Like, this is why we have the two-party system right here. This is why. That's what the founding fathers had in mind right there. I fucked it up. Oh, that's golden.
I got one more story to talk about, Scott. One more story. We can end the show. One more story. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? This is non-political. We're gonna veer away from it. This is a very super, like, literally not about politics.
I thought this was our political special.
No. Guess what this is, Scott? This is about sports.
Oh.
You know me. I'm a sportsman. I know my sportsmanship, and I'm very much in tune with the sportsman ethic. How do you feel about baseball?
Love it. Big fan.
Love it. MLB. You a big fan?
Big
we went to
fan.
a baseball game.
We did.
Good
time.
Yeah. Shitty game, but we went. It was
a
fun.
Pirate game. What do you expect?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Guess what this story's about? It's about a Yankee game. Yankees. Okay. How are they doing, sir?
They just lost the World Series. They're not doing too well.
Oh, they suck. Guess what?
They went to the World Series. That's not freaking... I would love my team to go to the World Series.
Well, this is going to be super embarrassing for them as well. So, did you hear about the game recently where they had the Yankee fans that were ejected from the game?
Yeah, because they reached out and... You're not allowed to do that. They reached into the field of play.
Guess what? I have the video for that right here.
Let's see it.
By the way, I pulled all these videos. I did some editing, but these videos are so that we don't get fucking sued or that we don't get any content stricken or whatever. Fox Sports, C-SPAN, PBS, go on there. They have all these videos on there. I'm just a lowly IT person that just decided to hack their system and pull those videos. So.
We're not making any monetary...
Nah, shit's free.
Yeah.
Shit's free, man. Free advertising. So this is I've got two videos.
Mm-hmm.
This is the main feed, and this has the announcers that were talking about it. So this is what we're talking
Not
about.
afraid to throw. Right by Torres. Betts in the corner.
There's a bit of a tussle.
With the fan. And they're going to say that it's an out and fan interference. So an out.
It's like he's arguing. Now, I have the close up, the slow motion close up. No audio for this one, so we're going to talk about it. This is the close up version right here. He reaches up, he catches it, and this motherfucker with 5 chins is wrestling the glove out of this boy's hand.
He's opening the glove.
He's opening the glove, and he's trying to grab it. Let's watch it again. Catches, reaches up, catches it. This dude.
Wow, I've never seen this.
He reaches up. He's prying the fucking glove with all his might, and his friend that is next to him is like the baseball player is reaching up with his right hand to be like, no, don't take that. His friend is pulling his right hand away so he doesn't get it, and they got ejected from the game.
They did, and they're not allowed to go back.
Good riddance, sir.
Throw
Good
him
riddance.
out.
Yeah.
Is that not the most Yankee fan thing you've ever seen?
Look, it's one thing if it fell in the stands, but if it's in the dude's glove, don't pry it out of his...
Yeah. It's a bad look. It's a bad look. But it's the Yankees, and they lost.
Here's a question.
So.
Here's a question. You're a sportsman more than I am.
Sportsman!
Name of the show. You're a sportsman. Had he pried it out of his glove and taken the ball, would it still been counted as an out?
It looked like the umpire on the foul line ruled. I think he made this hand motion. That means he ruled fan interference. So even if he had not caught the ball, it would have been an out regardless. So it would have been ruled an out even if they had gotten the ball out. But that was blatant.
So that rich motherfucker should just let him have the ball then at that point.
I mean,
fuck the millionaires. Fuck the rich people then.
Well, yeah, but you can't do that. Those guys are assholes.
They're fighting the good fight against the rich people. That's what I say.
Daddy, chill. What the hell is even that?
Hey, what's your button?
I'll tell you in a second. If you guys want to get a hold of us at For Distraction, you can email us fordistraction@gmail.com. We are on Facebook and we are on Twitter. Still now X, I guess. We'll see how long that's gonna. We'll see how long Dark MAGA decides to leave For Distraction on there. That was another thing from the Trump rally. Musk decided to call himself Dark MAGA. Did you see that shit? Fucking piece, just fucking poser. He's a poser.
Yeah, he's the worst.
Search for us at Podcast FYD for distraction. We are on Podbean now. We are on Spotify. We are on Apple. I gotta check that. We might still be on Google Play. I don't know. We don't get a lot of attention on Google Play, so I don't really pay too much attention to that. But I'll check that to make sure that we're still on there. Search for distraction. We do our live streaming typically on Saturday nights. Occasionally we might change it. So the best way to know if you want to watch the live stream is to follow us on Facebook. But you can search for us for distraction and follow us on there and catch all the live, raw, unedited bullshit that we like to throw at you. You can chat with us also. We're looking to, I have some ideas where we might be able to do a dual stream also on Twitch. So pay attention there. We may be creating a Twitch channel for Your Distraction so that we can, live stream on there as well. We're still a member of the Electronic Media Collective, so head over to electronicmediacollective.com and you can find us on there and you can rate us. You can find us and a bunch of really great shows, but you got to tell them, email them, be like, hey, For Distraction's the best. They're the best of the best of the best, sir, with honors. Scott.
Adam.
Is your anxiety lowering?
No, man.
Is it going down a little
Adam,
bit?
I made my prediction tonight, and I predicted Donald Trump to win. And I don't want him to win, but I just don't like the numbers right now. And I'm very, very nervous. And
I'm going to tell you the same thing I tell my family, because I have a track record with my family as well. And what I'm going to tell you is the same I tell them. You got to start listening to me. You know why? Because I'm always right.
I fucked it up. Can I go back?